All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this part B or part two to the episode. As I had promised you guys during the first episode, I want you all to basically learn more from Ahki in regards to what does it mean to create this effective formula for budgeting when it comes to your business. So we all want money, we all want profit, but are you properly budgeting to maximize your projections, your revenue, whatever the case may be? And she has the answers. So, Ahki, I'm not sure where you want to start, but please take it away. What is this formula for budgeting?
Oh man. So I think everybody's formula is going to be different. But there are some things that will remain pretty much set in stone. So, for example, there are several apps out there. I'm sure that promote different. There's different budgeting tools. You can use good old Google spreadsheets. And the goal really is just to get in there and make sure that the first thing you do is make your lodging and your food budget. That's usually going to be about 40 to 50% of your budget off the rip. Okay. So there's that part of the formula. Then you want to make sure that you go in and put about 10% of that budget aside just for marketing, uh, another maybe 5 to 10 for staff, management, and then you want to go in and make sure that you are paying yourself now, whatever that may be. You don't want to mix up what your retreat is making in net profit and what you personally will be making. You really have to look at yourself as a facilitator, if indeed you are. In my case, I am a facilitator at all of my events. I'm a host. And even if you're not a facilitator, if you're going to be present and you're going to host, you need to pay yourself separately than from the net profit of your retreat. And that way, you know that no matter what, your take home is solid. That you've got a thorough budget that also caters toward you pouring into the next retreats, the marketing for the next retreats, et cetera, et cetera. So, putting maybe another 10% aside for that is going to be important. And when you get into planning out your or itemizing for like um random items, miscellaneous items, I call them, right? So that could be, oh, you decided at the last minute that you're going to need a rental golf cart to take supplies back and forth, or that you're going to last minute need to take your guest out, to dinner, or after the trip, you want to do some gifting for your staff, things like that. I know it can feel very tedious and it can feel very small, but it really does matter in the end, because you're going to find that all these little costs will just come out of nowhere and eat your budget, and you're going to wonder where this money went, and it's going to drive you crazy. So this is one of those things where you want to work from the end of the deal backwards, and it's exciting in the travel business to go in and think about all the fun parts. You're thinking about, oh, the boat and the this and the adventures, excursions, and the hotel. You think about all this fun stuff. But honestly, none of that's going to matter to you if at the end of the day you're stressing because you don't have the funds. All you had was a good time. And if we're in business to do business, then we got to do business. So that's going to be, one of my most important suggestions is to work through that spreadsheet. And if you don't have it in your budget to properly pay yourself, have a reasonable net profit, and make sure that all bases are covered for your guest, then you don't have a retreat. And I think that's the hardest thing I work with a lot of people that want to learn how to do this. And I think it's the hardest thing for people to get over is they assume because they have a good idea that they have a retreat. And that's not how it works. Unless your budget makes sense, you don't have a retreat.
I like that. That's actually very important. And I think that once again, for everybody who's listening, right? I think that sometimes as a business owner, you get so caught up in regards to the type of experience that you can provide, the fun, the excitement, the emotional, etc. But you need to be very careful to not get lost in the fun of it. I know it's your passion, but really think about how to protect yourself. As she had mentioned before, pay yourself, right? Even though you are the business owner, you own this thing, you are providing something throughout the duration of this event. If you are indeed the host, if you are indeed the facilitator, like make sure you get something for yourself for that particular service that you provided at that time for that event, right? I thought that was very important to highlight, because to be very honest with you, I would probably be someone to make that mistake. I would just feel like, I mean, it's my business, I just love doing these great things. I gotta pay myself for that. But it's true, right? Because you want to make sure that you are paying yourself so that when you do retain profit, you do know that you have this money, this financing to continuously expand and grow without being nervous about paying yourself, because you already did it. So now that
Yeah.
you have all this extra profit, it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe some of it goes back to me. But, if it can't for whatever the reason is, at least I know that I paid myself for what I provided at that moment, and the rest of it can go through expanding the business or whatever the case may be. So that to me sounds very important. And
Absolutely.
oh, go ahead. No, take it away.
I heard Waka Flocka say something about this recently, and he was saying that unless you have a bookkeeper or unless you're doing proper accounting, you have a hustle.
Yes.
You don't have business, and that's the thing is I think we miss is that even once that retreat is successful, if you don't do those numbers and really go back and assess, you actually won't have the vision for the future of the business. You won't be able to see how to scale it or where it's going. So you're really again putting yourself back in just a hustle mentality where maybe you made a little come up here or there for the first few retreats, but you don't know that, oh, if I added another 10% over here and move this 5% there, maybe I need to pay myself actually more, maybe less. Maybe I need to put more into staff and employees. Maybe I need to put more into excursions, etc. You know what I mean? So when you have that in front of you, then you know where to put things, and then you know how to scale for the future. And now you can say, the last time I spent 30 grand on a resort and I was only able to use 15 rooms. That landed me taking home 15 grand. You know what? My goal is 30 grand. I want to take home 30 grand. Well, guess what? That means I got to go back and look at this budget and see where I can move some coins around. Maybe I need to choose a resort that's a little less expensive, or maybe I need to choose a different kind of, clientele and market towards a different group of people and a different experience. So it's really just about keeping those having those stats. And if you want to get investors involved, if you want to expand your staff and to have somebody working in the back end with you, now you've got the evidence of what you've done and how it all works, so somebody can easily go and make an assessment of your business and audit. So that's very, very important.
I actually have a follow-up question to that.
Yes.
Moving away slightly from the concept of budgeting strictly for the event, for the retreat, right? People
Yes.
are always inquisitive about, well, I have this legal entity. It is an LLC, it's an S corp, and ultimately I probably should be budgeting for things for myself to do this business outside of the event itself, like whether it's budgeting for gas, budgeting for learning and things like that. And these are probably all write-offs, right? So like what are things in the day-to-day of being an entrepreneur that you should be budgeting for that can probably also be things that you can write off on your taxes as a business owner?
Oh my God, everything. Everything. I mean, this is, and the thing is, it's so much easier now than it was before for people to do this. There's so many phone apps now that you can just take pictures of receipts, and you can really geek out on keeping your personal budget tight for your business beyond just the retreats. I suggest that people have a formula the same way we discussed. Okay, 40% is for food and lodging, 40% for my life. My personal life needs to be food and lodging. 10, 20, 30% of my income needs to go back into my business because that is my sustenance, that same formula should be used for your life.
Yes.
And you should be able to go with yourself or with your partner and go right into that Google spreadsheet and do an assessment, every 6 months or so, and say, we've been doing Uber Eats out a lot. If we cut back 50% on Uber Eats, we could actually buy that piece of land that we were looking at. This is the way it works. And honestly, most people really suck at this, but it is at the very foundational core, fundamentally, of how to scale in life and in business. And this is, if you look at the major companies or look at just the wealthy, this is the way they do things. And that's why you see them, they're very shabby chic. A lot of times they don't overspend because they know that they've already done the numbers. They know that everything counts. I've sat with a few different multi-millionaires, and I remember one of them, an Italian guy, said to me, he said, "Wow, you are so comfortable with the loss of your money." He said, "I don't care if it's $50. I'm on somebody's ass." Casual about losing even $200. He said, "You're really casual." It was something going on. I was just like, "Well, it was just $200." He was like, "Oh, you're so casual." A multi-millionaire, and here I am, like, nowhere near that. And he said, "Oh yeah, I don't care if it's $200. I'm on the phone. I'm in somebody's ass."
And did he say why? Like, why does he feel like he needs to have that approach? Is it because he just feels like there shouldn't be an opportunity for loss? We should always be paying attention to how to repurpose or redirect money for something bigger and better for the business. Like, what was it?
Well, that's basically it. Is that
Yeah.
perspective, because of how he's watching those numbers every day. He's waking up just looking at the balance there. And so he knows that although this is $200 in this area, but there may be another $200 in all 20 of these other areas. And ultimately that is affecting my goal. It's
Right.
affecting my goal. So he's paying attention to all those things because he knows that everything just adds up at the end of the day.
I love that. Well, I thought that was great information. I mean, I'm really in favor of this conversation, particularly because I think that you were able to walk us through budgeting and just having proper financing skills when it comes to the business, like that product offering, that service offering. But you're also reminding people, hey, don't forget, there's also day-to-day expenses, like what you're doing to prepare for those things in your everyday living. And those are also things that you should be budgeting for and paying attention to. So for everybody listening, I hope that you honestly found this content very useful. I feel like you're learning about all aspects of the business and how to budget for all of it, including yourself, which is a huge asset to it. And if you didn't learn anything here, I can't imagine you learning anything anywhere else, because this. But Ahki, is there anything else that you just want to mention before we wrap this up in regards to budgeting for yourself, for the business, for the retreat, whatever it may be?
Oh man. I would just say, you've it's very important, again, just to make sure that you're watching every dollar. That way you can continue to run your business and scale, continue to assess where you're going in this business. That way, if you want to pivot, you want to go into another business, you can easily do that. And then you could also easily help to manage people as they come in to help with your business as well. Yeah, and just don't be afraid to jump out there and try something different when it comes to business, making sure that you are, taking some risk, but even in taking those risks, you've got to be solid in the back end. Don't get so comfortable in just creating and being creative that you're not watching your numbers, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to get you to your goal. So that's about it.
I love that. Well, thank you once again. This was amazing content. And I feel like, once again, everybody got a lot of information from this. So if you haven't already listened to the first part of the episode, please take these learnings and listen to the other one, which was the first one. And I feel like altogether, everything will make sense for you all to either start that travel business or ultimately grow yours. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. and stay tuned for more.